Spider-Man 2 has been out for quite a bit, and I'm just now sitting down to upload my review of the game. I did in fact get 100% as well as the platinum for the game. I planned on getting this video out sooner, but I've had a lot of other pressing matters to attend to in my daily life, but I'm now getting to the point where, like I said, I'm uploading it. But this is my official review of the game, and of course, if you haven't played it, there will be spoilers ahead. But in this video, I will be discussing a couple of criticisms that I have, the combat, traversal, characters, and the story of Spider-Man 2. So if you would like to know my opinion in regards to Spider-Man 2, stick around, you'll find out. But before we get into the video, if you enjoy this type of content, be sure to give the video a like and consider subscribing to the channel for more. So, getting into the video, the criticisms that I did have for the game comes from multiple crashes that I had while playing, free roaming, cutscenes. My game would just crash immediately. This happened about 6 times or so. And although the power of the PS5 does allow you to get back into the game rather quickly, it was still super annoying because it just takes you out of the experience. I did happen to come across a few bugs, like some audio glitches during cutscenes, some buildings not rendering correctly when I was swinging through the city, but they weren't super game-breaking for me personally, but it just didn't feel as polished as the original Spider-Man 1. Also, no New Game Plus on release. I'm not sure why that Insomniac decided not to do this, also considering that this was such a huge feature in Spider-Man 1 that was later added post-launch because the fans wanted it so bad, while also considering that this was a feature in Miles Morales and it even tied to the skills that you could even unlock in Miles Morales. But at least we are getting it post-launch. Now my last thing is, I was kind of disappointed in the suits. Don't get me wrong though, the suits look phenomenal in this game, they really do. It's just, I find it really annoying that you have to wait to unlock certain suits in the game that were available in Spider-Man 1 early on. Like for example, the MCU Iron Spider, you could unlock early on in Spider-Man 1, but in Spider-Man 2 you have to wait till almost in-game on a higher level to unlock it. Not to mention all the suits didn't carry over, and I get that there were a lot of suits, but it was just still kind of disappointing for me as a fan personally. But anyway, as far as criticisms go, that's really all I have, and that speaks volume because the rest of the video is just explaining how phenomenal that this game truly is, because Insomniac did it again with Spider-Man 2. 2023 was a great year for sequels, and I'm talking games like Tears of the Kingdom, Star Wars Jedi Survivor, and now Spider-Man 2. And something that these games have in common is they took the identity of what made those games so great, but built on them to make them even better. Now, examples of that in Spider-Man 2 is the combat. The inclusion of having 2 different wheels to control your abilities and to control your gadgets really just made the gameplay seem more seamless and way more fluid than the other 2. The way that you had to wait on your abilities to recharge, the way that your focus bar had to be completely full before you could heal, really made you stay focused on what was going on around you. Because there was a lot. There were so many enemies at so many points in the game, so many projectiles. It was just overwhelming at times. But the abilities and the mixture of the gadgets really helped. And at first, I wasn't a huge fan of the parrying mechanic, but once I got the hang of it, it really made a difference. Because instead of being punished by enemies, you were the one doing the punishing. And later on, there are enemies that can only be attacked or defeated by parrying, and it really helps. The combat in Spider-Man 2 took a step forward by improving what was already a great foundation for combat in a superhero game. Speaking of a great foundation for a superhero game, traversal. Traversal in this game was phenomenal. Insomniac really improved this so much by increasing the speed, adding the web wings, which made everything else feel so fluid, and it just worked right. Whether you're going into the web wings or if you're going from the web wings to web slinging, it just worked so great. And 2 of my favorite things that they did add was the web launch and the loop-de-loop. When I first started the game, I feel like that's all I was doing was a loop-de-loop, trying to time it right to really just launch yourself and then use the web wings to just fly through the city. It really does not get old to me. Also, the characters in this game were so well written. Like I've talked about in my previous Spider-Man videos, you can tell that Insomniac just has a certain care for these characters, and they truly respect the source material, while adding their own twists to it that actually make sense. I love the inclusion of having Harry with his disease, the Venom symbiote, Kraven, all the other previous villains, and of course, just the shadowing figure of Norman Osborn. Everything culminates so well together, and then you have the story of Miles with his own personal stuff, his family, and the baggage that he's having to go through in the previous game. With all that going on in the overarching story of Spider-Man 2, the storytelling and the characters are just top-notch storytelling by Insomniac Games. I gotta say, in a story perspective, Miles is definitely the MVP of the game, but Yuri Lowenthal, the voice actor for Peter Parker, he really takes the cake on this one. He is astounding. His voice acting, the way that he gets those emotional beats, it all just works. And everyone plays off of each other so well as voice actors. And while moving on to the story, this is the part of the video that will contain spoilers. Just forewarning you yet again. The way that they build up the symbiote, I wish that they would have done it a little bit quicker to show Venom more in the game. But the way they did that, by making Peter slowly push himself away from everyone that he loves and just output that inner rage that he has, especially from the first game. When you're playing as Miles and Martin Lee is helping you try to purge the symbiote out of Peter, you see that he's still got that pent-up rage for the loss of Aunt May. And the fact that he's just trying his hardest to be what everyone wants him to be, and to be the superhero from New York City. But I love the way that they incorporated Kraven into the story and then had Venom close out that story. It really felt like two stories in one, if you think about it, because you have all of the Kraven stuff and then you have all of the Harry and symbiote stuff that took precedence right after. And the way that they introduced Venom, they could not have done it in a better way. You can tell that Insomniac really wanted to get that introduction and they wanted to make Venom look terrifying. They could not have made him more terrifying by taking what you thought was the villain of the game, Kraven, having you play as Venom, and Venom biting off Kraven's head in the middle of New York City, let alone taking on Oscorp guards and so many of Kraven's men. The inner turmoil of Peter Parker, the way that Miles wanted to be noticed by Peter, his role model, Harry going through his disease, the Venom symbiote, it all just felt so good. And I know a lot of people had issues with the story being short and whatever, but we've had so many open world single player games this year in 2023 that Spider-Man 2 was a great breath of fresh air for storytelling, because I didn't feel like I had to dump in 100 or 200 hours into the game to feel like that I got exactly what I wanted from it. Instead, I 100% of the game and platinumed it in about 40 hours. Experienced the story, experienced so many different things that was added in the combat, the traversal, finding Easter eggs. It was truly a game that blew my expectations out of the water, and I had them set pretty high to begin with. It has everything that a Spider-Man fan would want in a Spider-Man story. It has corny quips, it has serious moments, it has hilarious moments, emotional moments, and it's a Spider-Man story through and through. And I cannot recommend this game enough. But if you're a Spider-Man fan, I know I don't have to tell you because you probably already have the game. But I did want to cover this review on the channel, and that's why it's a little bit late, but I still wanted it to be out there. But this is going to be it for my Spider-Man 2 review video. And again, if you enjoyed the content, consider giving it a like and subscribing to the channel. The support is much appreciated. But I hope you guys enjoyed, and stay tuned for more content. As always, thanks for watching.